If you don't pause to work on yourself, life will pause you in ways you won't like. My dear friends, we are standing at the edge of a new year, a new chapter, a new chance, and yet some of us are tired, some of us are overwhelmed, and some of us are quietly wondering, why am I still not where I want to be? Life has a simple message for you today. Before 2026 arrives, focus on you, because your future will only grow from the seeds you plant today. Let me share 7 lessons that can transform the way you walk into the next year. When you don't slow down, you don't become stronger. You simply become scattered. And slowly, without even realizing it, you start breaking piece by piece. In the world we live in today, rushing has become the norm. Everyone is in a hurry to get somewhere, to achieve something, to prove something. But the truth is, a life lived at high speed without pauses is like a car that keeps accelerating without checking its engine. It may run fast for a while, but eventually something inside gives way, and that breakdown costs far more than any slowdown ever would. I once met a young man at an event. He looked exhausted, eyes dull, shoulders tense, voice shaky. He told me, "Sir, I'm working 16 hours a day. I don't sleep properly. I barely eat on time. But I can't stop. I need to succeed." I looked at him and gently asked, "My friend, what is the price you're willing to pay for this success?" He didn't answer, but his silence was loud. His body was screaming what his mouth refused to say. He was on the verge of breaking, but he thought stopping to breathe would make him fall behind. He didn't realize that running on empty doesn't take you forward, it takes you down. Most of us live exactly like that. We think rest is for the weak, slowing down is for the unambitious, and pausing is for the lost. But in truth, rest is wisdom. Slowing down is awareness. Pausing is strength. The strongest trees don't grow fast, they grow steady. The deepest rivers don't rush, they flow with purpose. And the calmest minds are not empty. They are centered. Slowing down doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing with presence. It means taking a breath before the next step. It means creating space between who you are and who you're becoming. When you give yourself time to reflect, you gain clarity. And clarity is far more powerful than speed. You can run fast in the wrong direction and still end up nowhere. But one slow, mindful step in the right direction can change your entire life. There is a difference between being busy and being productive. Many people are busy from morning to night, but they are not productive. They work endlessly but accomplish little. Their minds are tired, their hearts are drained, and their energy is scattered. Productivity begins when the mind is peaceful. Creativity begins when the heart is calm. Wisdom appears when silence enters your day. And peace doesn't come from running. It comes from resting between the runs. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stop. Not quit, just stop. Stop and realign. Stop and breathe. Stop and remember why you started. Stop and reconnect with yourself. When you slow down, you become aware of the thoughts you've been ignoring, the emotions you've been suppressing, and the needs you've been neglecting. You realize that you are not a machine meant to function non-stop. You are a human being with limits, emotions, and a soul that needs nourishment. Imagine a bow. If you keep pulling it back without releasing, it will snap. But when you pull and release, it becomes powerful. Life works the same way. Work and rest, effort and ease, action and silence. This rhythm is what makes you effective. Without this rhythm, you become fragile. And fragile people don't win long battles. Slowing down gives you perspective. It helps you see what truly matters. It helps you identify where your time is being wasted, where your energy is being drained, and where your heart is being distracted. When you are always rushing, you don't see the warning signs. Your body whispers, but you don't listen. Your mind cries out, but you silence it. Your soul asks for attention, but you ignore it. And then suddenly, one day, life stops you. Not gently, not softly, but forcefully. Through burnout, through illness, through emotional collapse. But you don't have to reach that point. You can choose to slow down before you break down. Sit with yourself. Have a conversation with your own heart. Ask yourself what you need. Ask yourself what you've been postponing. Ask yourself what pain you've been carrying. then give yourself permission to take care of yourself. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today, every great journey requires rest stops. Every great athlete honors recovery. Every great musician cherishes silence between the notes. Why? Because rest is not separate from performance. Rest fuels performance. The heart that pauses beats stronger. The mind that rests thinks sharper. The soul that slows down rises higher. Slow down not because you are weak, but because you are wise. Slow down not to stop your journey, but to strengthen your steps. Slow down not to escape responsibility, but to meet it with clarity. Because when you slow down, you don't fall behind, you rise above. Stop giving discounts on your worth. It sounds simple, but it is one of the hardest lessons we ever learn. Because from childhood, many of us are trained to shrink ourselves. We learn to tolerate more than we should, to apologize for things that aren't our fault, to dim our light so others feel comfortable. We learn to settle for less attention, less respect, less appreciation, less understanding, just so we can belong somewhere, anywhere. And over time, this pattern becomes so normal that we forget something very important. We were never created to live at a discount. Think of a store. When a product is placed in the discount section, people automatically assume something is wrong with it. Damaged, flawed, outdated, less valuable. But the truth is, nothing changed about the product. Only the tag was lowered. And sometimes we do the same to ourselves. We lower our tag to be accepted. We lower our tag to avoid conflict. We lower our tag because we want to be loved. But in trying to be loved, we forget to love ourselves. One young woman once told me, "Sir, I give so much to people. I care, I listen, I adjust, but still they don't value me." I asked her, "When was the last time you valued yourself?" She became quiet. She realized she had been begging for respect while offering none to herself. She tolerated lies. She tolerated neglect. She tolerated inconsistency. And guess what? Life gives you what you tolerate. Not what you deserve, not what you hope for, but what you tolerate. Every time you accept behavior that hurts you, you lower your worth a little more. Every time you stay in places where you are not appreciated, you send a message to the world, "I don't need much." Every time you allow someone to take advantage of your kindness, you silently say, "My boundaries don't matter." But they do. They absolutely do. Your worth is not determined by who stays or who leaves. It is not determined by how loud people speak about you or how quietly they ignore you. It is determined by God, by your character, by your integrity, by your heart. And these things do not change just because someone doesn't see them. The sun does not lose its light because a few clouds cover it. Your worth doesn't decrease because someone fails to recognize it. Sometimes we think staying humble means accepting everything. But humility is not allowing yourself to be walked on. Humility is knowing your worth without shouting it. It is honoring your value without demanding attention. It is setting boundaries with kindness, not aggression. It is saying, "I love you, but I love myself too." And boundaries are not walls. They are filters. They don't keep everyone out, they simply allow the right people in. People who respect you, people who value you, people who see your effort, your sincerity, your goodness. You do not have to convince anyone of your worth. The right people feel it, the wrong people fear it. There comes a time when you must stop negotiating your self-respect. Stop explaining why you deserve honesty. Stop justifying why you need consistency. Stop making excuses for people who keep hurting you. You cannot grow in the same place where your spirit is shrinking. You cannot shine in a space that asks you to stay dim. And you cannot rise when you're surrounded by people who prefer you small. Raise your standards and you will watch your life rise with them. When you demand respect, the disrespectful leave. When you honor your peace, the chaotic fade away. When you choose truth, the dishonest cannot remain. When you value yourself, you attract those who value you too. Sometimes God removes people from your life because He heard conversations you didn't. Sometimes He closes doors because He saw what was behind them. And sometimes He lets you feel discomfort so you can finally stop discounting your worth and start claiming your value. Think of yourself like a diamond. A diamond does not beg to be chosen. It does not lower its price so someone can afford it. It remains what it is, rare, strong, precious, and people who understand its worth treat it accordingly. You are no different. You were created with intention, gifted with purpose, filled with potential. Do not sell yourself short in a world that needs your full shine. Remember this truth. You are not hard to love, hard to respect, or hard to value. You are only hard for people who are not meant for you. The right people will meet you where you are, not drag you lower. The right opportunities will align with your worth, not ask you to compromise it. The right path will honor your dignity, not diminish it. So, as you move toward 2026, walk with your head high and your heart protected. Speak clearly, choose wisely, and carry yourself like someone who knows God didn't make a mistake when He created you. You were never meant for the discount section. You were meant to stand in full value, full truth, full dignity. Always, discipline is your best friend when motivation disappears. Motivation is beautiful, but it is also unpredictable. It comes in waves. It arrives with excitement and inspiration, and suddenly everything feels possible. But then, life happens. Stress happens. Fatigue happens. Doubt happens. And the fire that was burning so brightly yesterday becomes a fragile spark today. That is why you cannot build your life on motivation alone. It is a visitor. It knocks on your door occasionally. But discipline is the permanent resident that carries you forward even when the visitor is gone. Most people wait to feel like it before they act. They wait to feel inspired before they begin. They wait to feel confident before they move. They wait for the weather to be right, the mood to be right, the energy to be right. But life does not reward the people who wait. Life rewards the people who show up, especially on the days they don't feel like it. That is the difference between those who succeed and those who stay stuck. Winners do not perform because they are always motivated. They perform because they are disciplined. Imagine someone training for a marathon. On some days they feel strong and energized. On other days their legs ache, their mind argues, the weather is bad, and every part of them wants to stay home. But champions win not because every day feels easy, but because they run even when every step feels heavy. Success is built in the moments that feel boring, tiring, or invisible. The world sees the results, but discipline sees the journey. I once met a young man who said, "Sir, I start so many things, but I never finish them." I asked him, "Do you depend on motivation?" He nodded. I told him, "My friend, if you only work on the days you feel good, you will never build a life that feels good." Motivation is emotional, discipline is spiritual. Motivation pushes you when you're inspired. Discipline carries you when you're exhausted. Motivation is a feeling. Discipline is a decision. Think of discipline as a quiet, loyal companion. It doesn't celebrate loudly. It doesn't give you applause. It doesn't make promises. It simply says, show up. Show up for your dreams. Show up for your health. Show up for your peace. Show up for your future. Even small daily steps taken with discipline create massive transformation. 10 minutes of reading every night makes you wiser. 10 minutes of exercise builds your strength. 10 minutes of prayer strengthens your faith. 10 minutes of journaling deepens your clarity. You do not need to run a marathon every day. You just need to show up consistently. Many people think discipline restricts freedom, but the truth is discipline creates freedom. When you are disciplined with your time, you gain more of it. When you are disciplined with your money, you gain control of it. When you are disciplined with your habits, you gain power over your life. Indiscipline, on the other hand, steals your freedom. It makes you a prisoner of your mood, your impulses, your distractions. It makes you dependent on motivation, which is never guaranteed. You will not always feel energized. You will not always feel confident. You will not always feel ready. And that is perfectly fine. You can still act. Discipline teaches you that action is not based on emotion. Action is based on commitment. You don't brush your teeth because you're motivated. You do it because you're committed to health. You don't pray only on days you feel spiritual, you do it because you're committed to your connection with God. You don't show up to work only when you feel enthusiastic. You show up because you're committed to your responsibilities. The greatest things in life are built on discipline, not motivation. Think of the people you admire: athletes, artists, entrepreneurs, leaders. What do they all have in common? Discipline. They practice when others sleep. They train when others relax. They study when others waste time. They focus when others scroll. Their results were not born from lightning bolts of inspiration. They were born from daily, consistent, sometimes boring, sometimes difficult choices that no one sees. And that is why discipline deserves so much respect. It is the quiet architect behind every great achievement. Another truth is this: discipline strengthens your character. Every time you push yourself to do something difficult, you grow. Every time you choose progress over comfort, you evolve. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you increase your self-respect. And over time, something beautiful happens. Discipline becomes part of your identity. It's no longer something you try to do. It becomes who you are. When you start seeing yourself as a disciplined person, you stop negotiating with excuses. You stop allowing laziness to win. You stop letting moods control your destiny. You rise above the noise of your emotions and choose the voice of your purpose. This shift changes everything. So as you move toward 2026, don't wait for motivation. Create discipline. Build small habits. Keep small promises. Take small steps. And remember, motivation may start the journey, but discipline finishes it. It is your quiet strength, your invisible power, your loyal companion. When motivation disappears, and it will, discipline will still be standing beside you, guiding you, lifting you, reminding you who you are and who you're becoming. You cannot become your best self in a noisy world. And today the world has become louder than ever. Not just with sounds, but with opinions, comparisons, expectations, notifications, an endless chaos that keeps pulling your attention in 100 different directions. Everywhere you turn, something demands your focus. And in all this noise, we often forget that the most important voice, the voice of our own soul, is the quietest one. It never shouts, it whispers, and whispers can only be heard in silence. There was a time when people woke up to the sound of birds, the softness of the morning breeze, the calm of a new day. Now we wake up to buzzing phones, urgent messages, flashing screens, and anxious thoughts. Before we even open our eyes fully, the noise of the world enters our mind. And without realizing it, we start living reactively. We don't choose our thoughts, our notifications choose them. We don't choose our focus, distractions steal it. We don't choose our pace, the world pushes it. I once spoke with a young man who told me, "Sir, I feel lost. I don't know what I really want in life." I asked him a simple question: "How much time do you spend in silence?" He looked confused. He said, "Silence? I don't even remember the last time I sat quietly without my phone." And that is exactly why so many people feel lost. Not because they lack direction, but because they have no silence to hear it. Guidance comes in stillness. Wisdom appears in quiet moments. Clarity grows in the soil of silence. Imagine a muddy glass of water. If you stir it constantly, the dirt stays floating and the water stays cloudy. But if you stop stirring and let it sit, the dirt settles at the bottom and the water becomes clear. Our mind is the same. Constant noise keeps our thoughts muddy and unclear. Silence allows them to settle, to make sense, to reveal what is truly important. Silence doesn't mean isolation. It means introspection. It means stepping back from the constant stimulation and giving your mind space to breathe. It means disconnecting from the world for a moment so you can reconnect with yourself. It means choosing stillness not as an escape but as nourishment. And stillness is not laziness. Stillness is strength. A bow is strongest when pulled back. An arrow flies farthest from a place of stillness. Your best decisions, your most creative ideas, your deepest realizations, they all come from moments when you slow down and listen inward. That is why ancient wisdom traditions across the world Emphasize meditation, reflection, prayer, solitude, because the outer noise can only be balanced by inner quiet. Today, we consume more information in a single week than people used to consume in an entire year. That much noise, that much stimulation, it exhausts the mind. It weakens focus, it increases stress, and it prevents us from truly hearing ourselves. When the world is constantly shouting, you start believing the loudest voice must be the truth. But that is not always the case. The loudest voice is usually the world. The quietest voice is your intuition. And your intuition is aligned with your purpose. To become your best self, you have to reduce the noise, not eliminate it, because the world will always have some. But reduce it enough so that your inner voice becomes audible again. Spend time each day without your phone. Sit in nature. Walk without music. Pray without rushing. Write your thoughts. Make silence a daily practice, even if it's just 5 minutes. Those 5 minutes can anchor your entire day. In silence, you will notice things you've been ignoring, the dreams you abandoned, the emotions you avoided, the habits you need to break, the opportunities you need to pursue, and even the people you need to distance yourself from. Silence reveals truth. Noise hides it. And something magical happens when you start creating silence in your life. Your confidence grows. Because clarity brings confidence. When you know what you want, when you know who you are, when you know what matters, the world's noise no longer controls you. You stop comparing your journey to others. You stop panicking over delays. You stop reacting to every opinion. You stop chasing validation. Instead, you move with purpose, with intention, with internal strength. Inner silence turns your mind into a temple, a place where wisdom can live, a place where peace can enter, a place where God can speak to you in ways the world never can. Many people say, I don't feel connected spiritually anymore. But how can you hear divine guidance in a life filled with constant noise? God speaks softly, peacefully, quietly, and He waits for you to create space. So as you move toward 2026, make silence your ally. Find moments of stillness. Listen to the whispers of your heart. And remember, you cannot become your best self in a world that constantly distracts you, unless you learn to shut out the noise long enough to hear the truth within you. Your circle shapes your character, whether you realize it or not. Human beings are incredibly influenced creatures. We absorb the energy, habits, and attitudes of the people we spend time with. Even without trying, their thinking becomes our thinking. Their priorities become our priorities. Their limits become our limits. That is why choosing your circle is not just a social decision, it is a spiritual and emotional responsibility. Because the people around you are not just part of your life, they are part of your destiny. Think of a garden. You plant roses next to weeds, the weeds will slowly steal their nutrients. The roses may still grow, but they will struggle more, bloom less, and require constant effort to survive. But when you plant roses among other healthy plants, they thrive naturally. They bloom beautifully, they expand effortlessly. People are no different. When your environment is unhealthy, your growth becomes difficult. When your environment is supportive, your growth becomes natural. I once met a young student who told me, "Sir, I try so hard to stay positive, but the people around me are always complaining, always gossiping, always negative." I told him, "My friend, you cannot breathe clean air in a polluted room." He understood immediately. No matter how strong you are, the atmosphere you live in will affect you. You can be motivated, but constant negativity will drain you. You can be disciplined, but constant distraction will break you. You can be kind, but constant toxicity will wound you. It is not a question of strength, it is a question of environment. Sometimes the most important growth step is not adding something new to your life, but removing something harmful. Removing people who constantly disrespect you. Removing friends who discourage your dreams. Removing influences that pull you away from your values. Removing company that feeds your weakness instead of your strength. This doesn't mean judging others or thinking you're superior. It means protecting your peace, your purpose, and your emotional health. You cannot become a better person if you keep surrounding yourself with people who are comfortable being the worst versions of themselves. You cannot rise if your circle keeps pulling you down, and you cannot walk toward your destiny when you are tied to people who refuse to move. But choosing the right circle is not only about avoiding the wrong people, it's about choosing the right ones. People who inspire you even when they don't try. People who challenge you, not criticize you. People who remind you of your potential, not your past. People who talk about ideas, solutions, growth, not people, drama, and excuses. People who push you toward faith. People who remind you of discipline. People who celebrate your progress instead of feeling threatened by it. Your circle should feel like a charging station, not a draining one. After spending time with them, you should feel nourished, not depleted. You should feel hopeful, not doubtful. You should feel encouraged, not judged. God often speaks to us through the people He places in our lives. And sometimes He also protects us by removing those who are not meant to stay. Be very intentional about who you allow close to your heart. Not everyone deserves access. Not everyone deserves trust. Not everyone deserves influence. Some people only take. Some people only distract. Some people only pretend to support you while secretly hoping you fail. You don't have to hate them. You simply have to distance yourself gracefully. There is a powerful truth. You become like the people you spend the most time with. If you spend time with fearful people, you will start fearing. If you spend time with dreamers, you will start dreaming. If you spend time with disciplined people, you will start improving. If you spend time with compassionate people, your heart will soften. If you spend time with prayerful people, your faith will strengthen. Your circle is a mirror. It reflects your direction. Your future requires people who see your value. People who correct you with love, not ego. People who want to see you win, even if they are not winning yet. People who pray for you when you're struggling. People who stay loyal when you're unsure. People who guide you without controlling you. People who genuinely care about who you're becoming, not just what you can offer them. Choose friends who lift you higher. Choose mentors who challenge you deeper. Choose environments that help you evolve. And most importantly, choose to be the kind of person you want to attract. Be loyal, be honest, be supportive, be uplifting, be disciplined, be someone whose presence makes others better. As you move toward 2026, remember this. Your circle is not just your company, it is your compass. It quietly points your life in a direction, whether you notice it or not. So choose wisely, choose slowly, choose intentionally. Because who stands beside you will determine how far you rise, how much you grow, and how fully you become the person you are meant to be. Healing is not weakness, it is preparation. Many people misunderstand this. They believe healing means stepping back, slowing down, becoming vulnerable, admitting hurt, and they assume these things make them less strong. But the truth is the opposite. Healing is the process that makes you stronger. Healing is not what stops your journey. Healing is what steadies your next steps. Without healing, you carry old wounds into new seasons. Without healing, you repeat the same patterns with different people. Without healing, your heart becomes heavier while your future becomes harder. But when you heal, everything changes. The world often celebrates those who keep moving, those who keep going, those who never pause. Look how strong they are, people say, but strength is not found in pretending you're not hurting. Strength is found in acknowledging your pain and choosing to grow through it, not run from it. There is nothing noble about carrying invisible wounds alone. There is nothing admirable about pretending you are okay when you are breaking inside. Real strength is quiet, honest, humble. Real strength says, I need to heal before I continue. I once met a man who said, "Sir, I don't have time to heal. I have too many responsibilities." I asked him, if you broke your leg today, would you still walk just because you have responsibilities? He smiled softly, understanding the point. Just because pain is emotional or spiritual does not make it less real. The heart limps too, the mind limps too. And when we ignore those limps, we end up hurting others and ourselves without realizing it. Unhealed wounds turn into unhealthy reactions. We become defensive, insecure, angry, withdrawn, suspicious, or emotionally numb. Not because we are bad people, but because we are wounded people. Healing begins with honesty, sitting with your emotions without judging them, admitting what hurt you, understanding why it hurt, and giving yourself permission to feel. Society teaches us to suppress, be strong, move on, don't cry, don't think about it. But the more you suppress, the more you carry, and the heavier life becomes. Healing is not about dwelling on the past, it is about releasing its grip on your present. There is a sacred patience required in healing. Wounds don't close overnight. They don't disappear because you're tired of feeling them. They close slowly, quietly, consistently, when you treat them with compassion instead of judgment. Healing takes time, but it also takes intention. You cannot heal in the same environment that hurt you. You cannot heal by holding on to the same habits that broke you. And you cannot heal while pretending nothing happened. Sometimes healing requires distance. Distance from certain people, distance from certain environments, distance from certain versions of yourself. Not to escape, but to recover. Not to run, but to rebuild. And yes, it can be painful. Letting go always is. Disconnecting always is. Accepting the truth always is. But the pain of healing is far more meaningful than the pain of staying wounded. Healing also requires forgiveness. Not necessarily for others, but often for yourself. For the mistakes you made when you didn't know better. For staying where you weren't valued. For trusting the wrong people. For ignoring your intuition. For losing yourself while loving others. You are human. You were learning. You were growing. And you did the best you could with who you were at that time. Forgive yourself for that. Self-forgiveness is the final stage of true healing. Another important truth, healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means remembering without being controlled by the memory. It means the wound becomes a scar, a mark of survival, not pain. Scars don't signify weakness, they signify strength. They say, I lived through something and I learned from it. And with healing comes transformation. You become clearer, softer, stronger, more compassionate, more rooted, more self-aware. You start choosing differently, responding differently, loving differently. You stop tolerating things that once broke you. You stop chasing people who never valued you. You stop carrying burdens that were never yours. Healing gives you the wisdom to move forward without dragging the past with you. As you move toward 2026, ask yourself, what emotional weight am I carrying? What wound have I been ignoring? What pain have I normalized? What part of me needs gentle attention? Healing is not a pause in life. Healing is life, because healed hearts make healthy choices. Healed minds see clearly. Healed souls attract peace. Healing prepares you for the doors God is planning to open. Healing prepares you for the relationships God wants to bless you with. Healing prepares you for the future you prayed for. So take this season seriously, sit with your heart, listen to it, care for it, heal it. Because a healed you is not a weaker you, it is the most powerful version of you. God can open doors, but you must walk through them. This is one of the most profound truths of life. Many people pray for change, but when the opportunity finally appears, they hesitate, they doubt themselves, they overthink, they wait for a perfect moment that never comes. They keep praying, but they do not take the steps that match their prayer. And without action, even the biggest blessings remain unused. Life is a partnership between you and God. Grace provides the opportunity, but courage completes it. People say, when God wants me to have something, He will give it to me. And yes, that is true. But God gives in the form of chances, not guarantees. He gives seeds, not full-grown trees. He gives clues, not complete maps. He gives open doors, not forced entry. You still have to walk. You still have to try. You still have to move toward the direction He is guiding you. Faith is not passive. Faith is footsteps. I once met a young man who said, "Sir, I've been praying for a better job for 2 years. I asked him, "How many applications have you sent this month?" He looked down and said, "None." I smiled and told him, "My friend, even God cannot bless your effort if you are not making one." Prayer is powerful, but it is not a substitute for movement. Prayer prepares your heart, action prepares your life. When both align, miracles happen. Sometimes God opens a door that looks too big for you, and that's the point. If you only walk through doors that feel comfortable, you will never grow. Growth begins where comfort ends. Opportunities often come dressed in fear. They make you question your readiness, your ability, your worthiness. But you must understand something beautiful. God doesn't choose the qualified, He qualifies the chosen. If He opened the door, it means He already placed something inside you that is capable of walking through it. Even if you can't see it yet, other times, the door God opens looks small, insignificant, unimportant, a small connection, a small task, a small chance. But inside that small door may be the path that leads to the large destiny you've been praying for. Never underestimate small beginnings. David began as a shepherd. Joseph began as a prisoner. Great journeys begin in humble places. God often tests your willingness in small things before trusting you with greater things. There are also seasons when doors close and we feel confused or discouraged. We think God is punishing us. But sometimes the closed door is protection, not rejection. He sees what we do not. He hears conversations we are not aware of. He knows the future we cannot predict. And when He closes a door, it is His way of saying, "Not here, not now, not this." That's why walking in faith requires trusting His timing as much as His blessings. But even when the right door opens, it is your responsibility to walk through it. Courage will not magically appear. Confidence will not suddenly arrive. Walking through doors requires movement, even with shaking hands, even with uncertainty, even with fear whispering in your ear. Many people wait for fear to disappear before they take action. But courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is moving despite it. Having faith means saying, "God, I don't know what's on the other side, but I trust you enough to step forward." And when you step, something beautiful happens. God steps with you. The moment you walk toward the opportunity, new strength appears, new clarity appears, new support appears. Doors you didn't even see start unlocking. Because movement attracts miracles, life rewards action. God rewards faith with opportunity, and opportunity rewards courage with transformation. But you must do your part. If you want a better future, plant the seed. If you want a healthier life, build the habit. If you want a stronger relationship with God, spend time in prayer. If you want a new career, take the courses, send the applications, learn the skills. God will guide you, but He will not drag you. You cannot stay in the same place and expect life to change. You cannot repeat the same patterns and expect new results. You cannot pray for doors while ignoring the ones already open in front of you. Some of the blessings you're waiting for are waiting for you to step into them. And when you finally walk through that door, you will realize something powerful. God wasn't testing your ability, He was testing your willingness. And here is the truth: your future grows on the other side of your obedience. Your blessings expand on the other side of your courage. Your destiny unfolds on the other side of your footsteps. God opens the door, but the person you become is the one who walks through it. So, as you move toward 2026, walk with faith. Walk with courage. Walk with trust. The door is open. The opportunity is calling. The blessing is waiting. All that remains is your step. Before the next year arrives, remember this simple truth. Life doesn't change because we hope. It changes because we decide. Walk with faith. Work with purpose. Grow with discipline. Heal with grace. And trust that when you do your part, God will always do more than His. Your future is not waiting somewhere far away. It begins the moment you choose to rise. So step forward with courage. Step forward with clarity. Step forward with gratitude, because the destiny you're praying for is waiting for the version of you that you are ready to become